Like, I didn't need this. I didn't want this. And I feel like it fails the contract that I have with, as a child watching a lighthearted family sitcom, you can give me something poignant, but you don't give me a tragedy when I've signed up to watch a puppet dinosaur show.
Puppet dinosaurs. I remember I felt like a little bit of an attraction to like the teen boy dinosaur. Like I was like, this something's with him. I have a thing. I was into Rum Tum Tugger. It's like an animal thing, I guess. I don't know.
Rum Tum Tugger. Your sexual awakening.
Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists, and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey everybody, it's Leah Riley here.
Hello, it's Megan.
I'm like, do I say both names so that Leah doesn't get mad? Hi there, it's Amy J. Pine.
the full government name.
Now you
okay.
can steal my identity.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does the J stand for? I don't even know.
Yeah, wait, your middle name is because I'm J too.
Really?
You know my author name is A.J. Pine, right? I didn't make those up.
I never.
Wait, what's your middle name?
Jeffrey.
No, it's not.
Are you afraid of people stealing your identity?
No one's gonna steal your identity. Mine's Joe. J-O.
I'm not Maggie Joe. That's what your Maggie Joe knows.
Yeah, I mean, my dad would always call me Maggie Joe when I was younger.
No, mine, I always thought mine was so weird because it's another first name for a middle name. And then I found out there were like 3 other Amy's in my high school with the same middle name.
Is it Jane?
No.
Oh.
Jennifer.
Oh, that's an interesting
That's a weird middle name.
Yeah,
right?
That's a 70s name. Your mom was just like on her
Amy
Amy Jennifer. And when I was in trouble, it was Amy Jennifer.
The 3-syllable middle name
is too much. It's too much.
No,
you think it'd be Jennifer Amy or something.
No, it's a first name. Like it's entirely a first name.
That like everyone when we went to school
has those names. Amy Heather.
Right.
Oh my God! I went to school with a million Heathers.
Oh, Heathers and Jodies. That was the big ones for me. And Amy was. I'm like,
Amy.
Yeah.
I also went to school with a million Megans, but they all spelled it differently. I do not have an H, so
my sister doesn't either.
Yeah, right. She just says Megan. Yeah, that's what I thought. So
I am Marie, which is the most boring middle name to ever. But I was like, way to go, parents! You could have picked any name in the world, and you're like, I'm gonna go with the one that everyone.
But Leah Marie sounds nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Marie's really common.
Like it flows. Like my 2 names do not flow.
Amy Jennifer.
It's a mouthful. It's a fucking mouthful.
3-syllable middle name is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Normally you do like a really short, you know what I mean?
Actually, Bronte has a 3-syllable middle. Bronte and Jera both have 3 syllables.
What's Bronte's middle? What are their middle names?
Well, there's Flo, I think. Okay, they're Hawaiian middle names. So Bronte's is Bronte Mahina.
I didn't know that.
Then
that's pretty.
Jera is Jera Makana.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
I like that.
And actually, now I just realized my son also has a 3-syllable middle name. It's Nicholas, which is my grandmother's maiden name. So actually, Neil's his is Neil Kyle, which always kind of
no,
that's funny. That's the most funny.
I always found
Neil Kyle.
Neil Kyle.
Kyle is another first name, first of all, and they have the same cadence. Neil Kyle.
I always thought it was
that's like Julia Gulia from The Wedding Singer.
Julia Gulia. Yeah, I always kind of thought it was funny. That it I always found it kind of weird. Like his mom never uses Kyle. Like I've never heard it. Neil Kyle.
I feel like it should be something like Neil Christopher or something. Like
he would
do well with a 3-syllable middle name.
He would, because it's like a good solid 1-syllable first. I know. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Neil
Funny,
Kyle.
if I was a boy, I was gonna be named Kyle. So
Kyle Joe.
Just like fate, I guess. I don't think I would. I don't think I would have been.
Even Neil Joe.
Neil Joseph. Neil Joseph would
Neil
sound
Joseph
good.
would be lovely.
That's a good one. I
Neil
should
Jo-
rename him.
Middle name him.
What is Hazel's middle name?
Hazel's middle name is Eileen, which is Neil. The reason is Neil's grandmother died while I was pregnant, and she had really wanted a granddaughter. Like, she really, really wanted a granddaughter, and she had been hoping that she knew I was pregnant, and she had been hoping the baby was a girl. And actually, after she passed, and they were like cleaning out her place, they found this like dress, this baby dress, a little girl baby dress that she
Aw.
had bought in like hopes that Hazel was a girl.
Aw.
So I named her Eileen. But yeah, I'm really glad you guys agree with me about Neil Kyle. I've never told anyone.
That's way worse than Amy Jennifer. Sorry, Neil. You win.
Just for the record, I mean, he doesn't put it I like on anything. Like, it's always Neil K everywhere, Okay, anyway, that's off topic, but
It was funny, though.
yeah.
Well, middle names are often the end of your first name.
Sure.
You're segueing already.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry, we've got more banter.
Oh no, it was.
Oh.
I mean, it wasn't a big thing. It was just a funny thing that I wanted to share.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, my daughter got me into the Letterboxd app, which is like, it's like Goodreads for movies, basically.
Oh.
And last night when I was working at the library, working with my friend Katie, who's also the head of the department, we were talking about the app, and she's like a big movie buff too. She's like, "Oh, I think I need to get on this." And so when you first get on the app, like trying to like track all the movies you've already watched like in your life can take like hours. So she's like, "Well, I'm going to start by going through your list that you have." I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." So she's going through and like adding stuff that we have the same, whatever. She looks up, she goes, "You've seen this movie too?" And she points to it, and it's The Handmaiden.
Oh.
I'm like, no, I don't know anybody outside of like my K-drama world who has watched The Handmaiden. And she's like, "It was so good." I'm like, "I know." And I'm like, "And it's wild, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "And it's based on a book," which she didn't know, based on a British book called, it's Fingersmith, right? Is that what it is? Yeah. So I told her about the book too. But it was really fun because she was talking about how good it is and, and how much she loved it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I need to get you into some dramas now because there's so much good out there. And there's also other great like Korean cinema. Like, I'm like, you need to watch Train to Busan and you need to watch Past Lives. And...
She clearly needs to watch A Frozen Flower.
Oh God. Oh my God. I forgot. I'm going to put put that on her radar. Yeah.
You better. Yeah.
No, she'll love it for how wild it is and how, yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Never over the 30-minute recovery from castration.
Right.
It's the best.
You know what? I actually saw a movie this weekend and it made me think of you. I don't know why. Probably because you're like one of the biggest movie buffs, but did you watch The Gorge?
No.
I feel like you would love it. So again,
I've seen the trailer for it.
Yeah, it's on like Apple TV. I watched it with Neil. So it's kind of like a joke with Neil. Like, if there's no women in the cast, then Neil's probably watched it. He just loves like just those movies that's just like straight sausage fest, just like all men.
Same.
Same with my son. Okay, so the fact that there was a woman on the poster and Neil has watched this is shocking. Okay, but I thought it was mostly action, and it actually was a romance. Like, it was like way more romance than I thought. The first half, there's like zero action, and it's just like the build up to a romance. And I thought of you because I was like, I think Amy would really like this. And like, yeah, there's like action at the end, but like nothing is. And it's like paranormal.
I like action. Like, it's a little science. It's Miles Teller. I love Miles Teller.
It's a little science fiction-ish. Yeah. And okay, I'm just saying, there's my movie rec. I was like, I think Amy would like this movie. The action was really fun. You could totally watch it with your kids.
Oh, yeah. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. Sigourney Weaver, great cast.
Anya Taylor-Joy looks so freaking good in this. She is unreal.
Does she ever not look good, though?
I know. And Miles Teller is just charming as hell.
Yes.
And I was like, this is so fun. Anyway, I watched it with
good
Neil.
To know. Is it like big romance, or do you think I could like sneak it under the radar for my son? Like,
you could definitely still sneak it.
Could I get Connor to watch it?
No, there's still like enough plot and stuff going on, but he halfway through he might be like, Mom.
Well, that was like, I got him to see in the theater like a couple years ago, The Lost City. Because I was like, it's action adventure. And it's like one big romance.
Give
Like,
him,
yeah.
tell him the back half is heavy on like the action stuff. So like, tell him to wait an hour. Because I actually even like, there's so much romance. And I was like, I actually looked at the time. I'm like, this is half the fucking movie. It's like, I was shocked. I was just shocked. I was like way
before
to
the
go.
action even happens.
Yeah, I was like, more cinema like this, please. Like this, it was honestly delightful.
Okay,
so
good to know.
I think you would really like it, and it would be a fun movie to watch with your kids. So
all right, I'm in.
Maybe not like little kids. I'm talking
like my teen/adult kids.
Yeah.
Because my older child is going to be 20 in a few months.
Oh my god,
it's just freaking wild. Yeah,
I feel like she just turned 18.
20.
That's
20 in November. Yep. And my son's driving, and I'm always worried.
Ugh.
All the time. But they're both home right now, so I'm happy because he was out. So I'm glad that everyone's home, and yeah, so we can
talk about
that
endings.
segue, middle to end, middle name to end of dramas. Actually, I think we need to give credit where credit is due, right? Because we had a listener suggest this to us.
Yeah,
did we not? So this was really great. So this is from listener Izzy. Was this a message on Instagram, Thea? I think it looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So it says, "Dear Leah, Amy, and Megan, I very much love to listen to your pod." Okay, I was not coming here to stroke, but
to glaze ourselves.
I'm just reading, especially the additions from a writer's perspective. I have a question regarding this expertise. What makes a good ending for a K-drama or a story? In K-drama, we usually have a lot of drama at episode 14, 15, and then a rushed ending mostly. So what is necessary to get a satisfactory ending? That was a great question and got us like totally thinking about endings. And we're like, this is something that we should make an episode out of because there's a lot of great things to talk about here.
Right. I think we've done like rewrite endings, but I don't think we ever talked about like what makes a good ending.
No.
So for the record, thank you, Izzy. And also like show ideas are great. Like we love them because sometimes like we run out of, not that we don't run out of ideas, but sometimes we're like, oh man, I just something new. What could we talk about? So if you ever do have ideas.
Yeah, and sometimes a listener will spark something. Like we'll put out questions to our Patreon when we do like our uncensored episodes, but sometimes our patrons have such great questions that we want to talk about for a whole episode too. So, it's just something that gets the conversation going. And when we realize that, hey, this could last longer than like a 5-minute answer, let's put a whole episode to it. So today we're talking about endings.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to say. Like you said, we did do an endings rewrite episode, but we've never really we've talked about endings that we want to change, but we haven't really talked about what makes a good or a bad ending. So I think that's really where we need to start, right?
Well, I actually have a question before we do that, because I actually am curious about this. Do you guys like writing the endings of books?
Ooh.
Like what do you love writing the endings? Like, is that really fun for you? Or are you kind of like, oh my God, I got to finish this book. I got to write the ending.
I love it. Especially in romance, because usually the ending in romance for a book includes the grand gesture. And I love when I have a good grand gesture planned. And usually, even if I do have to write synopses for my books in order to sell them to my publisher. So I have to have an idea of where the book's going to go. But I really like when I'm excited about a grand gesture and how that grand gesture feeds into the ending. Because I usually end my books pretty soon after that. I do like epilogues. I have epilogues, but I don't consider epilogues endings. I consider epilogues a bonus. Mm-hmm. So I like the climactic, the climax and the resolution. So that's the ending part that I like. And then epilogues, sometimes I just like to tie it all up. But yes, I love writing the ending way more than the beginning. Starting a book is the worst for me. I hate getting started. I love ending it.
Leo, what about you?
So I like starting a book. And I tend to like overwrite my openings because I just work them over so much. The endings, it just depends. I think that it kind of depends on the book. Like sometimes, like I'm just being really real right now too. I should be like, every ending is special and I love it. Sometimes I'm just like, get it done. I'm done. And then sometimes I'm like, this is special. I care. I'm making an effort. So, I'm not going to say which ones are which, but there's ones that I have cared about and made an effort. And there's some I will say more recently, I think that I am putting more care into some of the endings. I think I went through a rut where I was like, just end it. And I couldn't like even remember how some of them end. And then some of them I like very much cared. Like in my initial books, oh my God, I cared so much.
So, I actually don't like writing endings ever. They're my least favorite thing to do. If I could just write the opening of books, I would have a million fucking books. The openings are my favorite part. I love, like, essentially the meet cute, even if it's not like cute, because
Mhm.
especially now I'm writing aliens, it's usually not like cute. It's usually like someone's injured or kidnapped or something, or abducted. But I love the beginnings. I love setting up the premise and the plot. But then the endings are when I have to tie up all my plot threads. And I'm like, fuck, I hate it. I hate it so much. And I also always underestimate how long an ending is going to be. So I'm like, oh, sweet. I'll be done this book. Like, I have like another chapter or two. I'll be good. And then it's like four chapters later. I'm still tying up loose plot threads. It's a fucking mess. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it. All that to say, if like you do nail an ending, like I'm very appreciative of it. I am. Like, I'm hard on myself with endings again because I think it's hard. I think
It
it's hard
is.
to tie
It
up.
is hard, but it's also it's hard and it's stressful because I think like the ending is what people remember the most
I know.
because that's the last thing they read or the last thing they saw.
So when
And
you're
I'm not
flopping
saying
the
that I
ending, it
write
sucks.
I'm not saying that I write spectacular endings all the
No,
time, but I do like when I have a really good one planned.
yeah, I
Like
know
it
what you
makes me
mean.
very excited.
It makes me excited too, but then I usually end up flubbing it. It like often that's another thing too about my endings. I have a very vivid ending in my head. So when it doesn't come out how I wanted to, it makes me so mad. You know what I mean? So
Why
it's
can't
just so hard.
why can't why can't the head like just barf onto the page? Like
Right.
it's
Like give
never the
me
same. It's never the same.
some little sensors that go on my forehead and just like put it if I could the amount of books that I write like while I'm just like lying half asleep in like Twilight
Yes.
Zone. Oh my God. That's like where all my ideas come from.
Mhm.
So when I'm lying down, I'm like, and Neil will like come up and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Neil Kyle,
I can't. I
Neil?
can't. Neil Kyle.
Neil Kyle,
Look.
I am totally plotting a book right now with my eyes closed." Anyway, okay, that's just what I just wanted to know because that it's interesting to me to hear what different writers like to write and not, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, so what makes a good ending? Whether it's a book, a movie, whatever, like what do you consider a good ending? And I know that there's not like a blanket, this works for everything, but in general, what do you think?
So for me, I feel like when a show has a really good ending, it gives the audiences what they need versus what they want, if that makes sense. And I
Mm.
think that they kind of can feel like if it's a really great ending, I feel like it feels surprising, but it also feels inevitable. And this is like the high that I chase in a good ending is like you could never have predicted exactly how it would unfold, yet when you see it, you realize like that's the only way the story could have gone.
My God, yes.
I love that.
That is the best description.
Yeah, that's the magic for me. And then I have two short examples to give of endings I thought that were very good. Um, And okay, so I'm gonna say what the 2 are, and then if people wanna skip ahead, because I guess that's
Right,
the
because we're
challenge.
gonna spoil endings tonight.
Yeah. So
So
I'm gonna talk about a Western show very, very quickly and a Korean show very, very quickly, and that's Breaking Bad and then, My Mister, because you know what? We do not give enough My Mister love here, and I
Please
am
do.
a
Please
resident
do.
My Mister fan when everyone thinks that no one likes My Mister on the pod. They
Right.
always
It's
forget
just
about
me.
me. Everyone forgets about the middle child, Leah Riley.
They do. They never give you credit for being nice about my mister.
and do you want to know what's funny? They never give me shade for being shitty about my
It's
mister.
just me. Well,
It's just you.
but hold up. But I throw shade at my mister whenever I can. So I get it that people are bitter about it. Okay,
Yes,
go
it's
ahead.
awful. So,
I
okay.
know I am.
So for Breaking Bad, skip ahead if you don't like it, but I feel like Walter White's final episode doesn't really feel to me personally about redemption, obviously, but not even really punishment. I feel like it's really just like a person, in this case a man, just really being honest about like who he is, stripped of all his bullshit, all his self-deception, all the reasons why like he went into the meth making to begin with. And at the very end, he says, "I did it for me." And really, I feel like that's like a very powerful thing of like, did he do it to like help his family because of his lung cancer, because of being a mentor for Jesse, like any of that stuff? Nope. In the end, he's just like, I did it for me. And I just find it to be a very satisfying ending to that series. And then for my mister, I just felt like, look, the drama, for better for me, for worse for Megan, like it explores themes of finding meaning and suffering, human connection and healing. And I feel like the very end is very quiet but very hopeful. And it doesn't promise that happiness is easy, but it does give a real suggestion, I think, that genuine healing is possible. And I feel like it's a really like emotional way to end a very emotional drama in a quiet, kind of like elegant way.
I love that. I love the description of you give the audience what they need, but not what they want. Because I think we all think like we know how we want a show to end. But you're right, like surprise us a little, let us
Mhm.
get, and also make us think.
Like saying like what we need rather than what we want. One of the things that I wrote for like, what makes a good ending is it scratches that itch. Like whatever it is, whatever that itch is that you have that needs to be scratched by the time that drama or that show ends.
Mhm.
Um, and a Western example that I have is Schitt's Creek.
Mhm.
So fast forward if you don't want to hear the end of Schitt's Creek. Megan, you've never seen it, so you have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So Schitt's Creek starts with the Rose family falling from grace. They're a very, wealthy socialite, family, and they lose all their money. And the only thing that they have to go to is this town called Schitt's Creek that Johnny Rose bought for his son David as a joke. Like bought this town for because it's called Schitt's Creek, SCHITT'', right? So then through 6 seasons, a lot happens, right? And by the end of season 6, everybody is going their separate ways. I think David's parents are going back to New York. Alexis has a job that she's going to or something. I don't even remember. What I remember the most, though, what I remember is that David Rose decides to stay in Schitt's Creek. And like for 6 seasons, it's all about how are they going to get the hell out of Schitt's Creek? Because it's like this podunk town in who knows where, in Canada, because it's a Canadian show. And they make connections there. They grow there. Every person in the Rose family is a better person by the end of the series. So much so that David has found his husband, Patrick. He's found his best friend, Stevie. And it ends with him with him surprising Patrick by buying a house for him after they get married. And it's so, wonderful and sweet. And as you're going through the series, you probably would never expect any of the Roses to stay, especially David, and he's the one that does. And it's awesome. And then for a K-drama, I'm choosing Crash Landing on You. And I think this is a controversial one because there are some people who love the ending of Crash Landing on You and some people who hate it. And I think it's a really good example of what Leah was saying, that it's unexpected, but also the only way that it can end, right?
Mhm.
So if you haven't watched Crash Landing on You yet, skip ahead a little bit. But in Crash Landing on You, Captain Ree and Yoon Suri get to be together 2 weeks a year. That's it. She is from South Korea. He is from North Korea. There is no logical way for them to be together in one location without him trying to defect or without her basically like leaving her whole, life and being prisoner in North Korea. It's not realistic for either of them to give up the lives that they have. And what I think was really great about this drama is it didn't paint every single North Korean as a villain. They are people who have lives and families and people that they love and friends that they love and lives that they love. And just because Captain Ree Ri Jong-hyuk found Yoon Suri doesn't mean that he is going to risk everything and leave all that. And same thing for her. She has built a business for herself. She has made family connections and friend connections that she didn't have at the beginning of the drama. They are both better people for having known each other, and they both get these 2 weeks together to look forward to every year. And it is bittersweet as all hell, and it's heartbreaking. But it's also one of those things that I don't know any other way that you could have ended this drama. And I love it.
I love it too.
So for me, so this isn't the ending, but I want to talk about why I love this ending for this show, because the show is not over and it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I got to talk about how this show ends each episode, because I'm very curious how they will end like the entire 14 seasons or 15 or whatever the hell they're on right now. So It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite shows. Neil and I actually saw them live when they
I love
when
that.
I think we had just been married.
You saw The Nightman Cometh, right?
Yeah, we saw The Nightman Cometh, which is like their and I saw it in Philadelphia. So it was a very, very crazy experience. I mean, they don't do that anymore. That was before they got like really big. They were still kind of like culty at the time. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a small cult following. Anyway, the characters in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are terrible people. Every one of them is a terrible person. They do terrible things. And every episode is like them obviously trying to like get ahead in life. Okay. They own a bar in Philadelphia. And yeah, every episode they're trying to get ahead, but they're always getting ahead by like swindling, cheating, lying, all that kind of stuff. Every episode ends with them the same as they were or worse. They never get ahead. And I love it. Like, that's like the best part about it is like they're terrible people. They do terrible things. And the show is like not condoning anything they do. It's funny. And it's funny because they never get ahead. And I love that about every episode. They're always losing.
There's zero growth. Zero growth.
There's zero growth. And they're still terrible people. And they don't get ahead. They never get ahead. Okay? It's great. It's one of my favorite parts about the show. If they don't end it with like them all in jail, like Seinfeld, like that means
I hated that ending for Seinfeld.
Right. I mean, I don't really have an opinion about it, but It's Always Sunny.
But I agree. Always Sunny, they should be in jail for sure.
Yeah.
For a million different reasons.
I mean, I'm surprised they aren't already. But anyway, so a Korean example. Okay, I'm gonna spoil the end of Mr. Sunshine. This was a drama that I felt like you could see the ending coming. So the ending, obviously, Mr. Sunshine, you have Kim Tae-ri, who, like, in a way, symbolizes like Korea, and then you have her three like paramours, like three men who are kind of like circling around her like sort of fiance or sort of betrothed, a man she falls in love with who's like from America, you know. And then who's Mr. Sunshine. And then you have Gu Dong-mae, who's just like obsessed with her and doesn't understand his feelings because he's Gu Dong-mae. And the end is so tragic. Like, I remember that there was just like tragedy after tragedy in Mr. Sunshine.
Oh my God.
But yet, like, they all died. So not Kim Tae-ri, she lives, and is sort of like a symbolism of like Korea, like starting over, or not starting over, but Korea like enduring. Like that's kind of what her character is. And even though they all died, they like sacrificed for her. So Gu Dong-mae dies, Mr. Sunshine dies, and now I forget the other one's name. And in the end, you're like, that kind of had to happen. Like, and I didn't expect it. Like, I did not think that was going to happen. I thought maybe one of them would die.
Same.
I did not think all three of them would die. I was not spoiled for that. It was shocking to me. And I kind of was like, are they coming back to life? Like, I remember being very, very surprised. But yet I was like, damn, I don't see any other way. It's not what I wanted, but I think it's what I needed. And it's what the show needed, which is, you know, bring it full circle back to what Leah said. Still one of my favorite endings.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of not what you want, but what you need.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't want to watch Gu Dong-mae go down in a bloody sword fight, and then get dragged through the
Oh God, the getting dragged is so terrible.
So terrible. Oh, it's so rough.
One other thing that I did add in my answer is that sometimes you don't have all the loose ends tied up in an ending, and that's okay too, because I think
Right.
it can still scratch that itch, and like a good and it makes for good, like, intelligent conversation too. Like a Western example that I love is the movie Inception. Like, there is no clear-cut ending. So if you don't know Inception and you don't want to know Inception, just for a second, you don't know at the end of Inception if everything that just happened was in the main character's head or if it really happened. Because it's all about planting a dream in someone's head. And so you don't know at the end of the movie if it was a dream or not. And the way that the main character, Leo DiCaprio's character, Dom, knows if he's in a dream or not is he has a totem. Everybody has a totem, and he has this top that he spins. And if the top falls, it's real. It's reality. If the top doesn't fall, he knows that he's incepting someone, or he's in a dream world and he has to get out. And the very end of the movie is the top spinning and the screen goes to black before you know if it falls or not. And I think that's spectacular. I love that.
I need to rewatch that movie because it's been so long. And
I
remember loving it, but it's been
Yep.
It's a little bit like the end to it reminds another Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Oh my God. The Dennis Lehane one where he's like in the mental asylum.
Shutter Island?
Thank you. Literally just flew out of my mind. I remember I read the book first. I love Dennis Lehane. And the ending of Shutter Island was like the biggest twist ever. That was so freaking cool. And that's definitely not what you want. I'm not even going to get into the end of Shutter Island. Like, go watch the movie. But I remember being
some things are not what you want at all.
No,
but
I remember thinking, oh my God, I remember it felt so genius because I love when you get to the end and all the plot and all the stuff that happened, like you start connecting the dots in your head.
Yes.
And I would say that just feels genius. I am not capable of writing something like that, but I remember thinking that was so freaking cool with Shutter Island. I was like, oh my God, I'm starting to put you need that final ending, like everything's blurry until that final,
it all makes sense.
Yeah, until that final puzzle piece. And you're like, shit, that's so good. So.
Okay, so let's flip it on its head. What makes something a bad ending?
Okay. So I think bad endings fail because they betray some sort of contract that exists between the show and the audience. Like there's an implicit contract that we like sign on the dotted line when we're watching a drama.
You're nailing it tonight.
You are with your definitions. I like it a lot.
Damn.
I am on.
You are.
Okay.
As Megan would say, you're on.
You're on.
So either they're like abandoning the story's like logic, or it's rushing through resolutions without earning them, or it's suddenly just like changing what the show's about. And all of a sudden it's like, wait, are we even like watching the same show? Like what happened? Like the whole thing has changed. So I feel like those are like when I'm like, the drama is like really pissing me off. And later I'm going to give an example of a time that happened, but I'm going to give a Western one because this is one I've never talked about. I was going to do Game of Thrones. I'm like, we all know that like we're mad about Game of Thrones. And maybe Megan, if you want to talk about that, that's fine. I want to talk about a Western show that left me with trauma for the ending. And that is the sitcom Dinosaurs. Does anyone remember the ending?
Yes, but I don't remember the ending. Wait,
Dinosaurs was I don't know what you're talking about.
Dinosaurs, like not the mama.
Yeah. They're like the
puppet.
They're like puppets.
Come on, you don't
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You would know if you.
How do you not know? Not the mama.
Not the mama. He was like in a little high chair and he would like bang.
And it was a sitcom?
Google it while you're sitting here.
Google it. It was just called Dinosaurs. Yeah, let me Google it too, because I gotta remember. Dinosaurs. Okay. Oh, it even has Dinosaurs ending is the top thing.
So I never watched that ever in my life.
You had to have.
Nope. I don't even. Were you alive in the 90s?
And it's 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everyone I know watched that. Oh my God, I love Dinosaurs.
It started in 1991. You guys, I was like 17.
Okay,
Everyone watched Dinosaurs.
Megan and I were just such children.
Not the mama.
It made a difference then. You would have been 12 and I was 17.
Yeah, okay. So I was a child watching a child sitcom called Dinosaurs that was like funny and silly. So the very, very end of this drama, I had to look it up because I only remembered like broad strokes. So the main character's dad, like the dad works for this company and they're trying to like solve problems. So they decide to bring rain about because they've like sprayed some sort of like defoliant that's like killed a bunch of plants. And so they're like, we need to like create rain or something to like make the plants grow. So they drop like bombs in a volcano to create clouds and bring rain, but it causes like a nuclear winter. And so basically the end of the drama is them sitting like, so basically the world, they've ended the world. Like nuclear winter is coming. And the family, which you watch like the family, the whole show, and the baby, not the mama baby.
Yeah.
They're all in like their little like dinosaur home. Winter is like the end of the world is here. And basically like the TV guy on the show, like the news show is like talking about like how like the weather is getting worse. And it's the beginning. Basically, it ends with the beginning of the ice age that's going to kill all the dinosaurs.
I don't remember the ending.
And the baby's like,
so that they all of a sudden you have talking dinosaurs for like the whole show,
and
all
you
of a sudden
love the dinosaurs.
All of a sudden they want to connect to history and be like, here's how the dinosaurs ended.
Yeah, so they decide to end this like lighthearted family sitcom with like the baby's catchphrase was like the soundtrack to. I mean, I even with my sister still will be like, not the mama, and in the end, they're like, and here's the beginning of the ice age, and everyone's like about to starve to death and die, and they're all like, we're cold, and like that's it, the end.
I don't remember this
TGI,
ending. I clearly blocked it out. Because
was that like an evening sitcom?
Like I didn't need this, I didn't want this, and I feel like it fails the contract that I have with as a child watching a lighthearted family sitcom. You can give me something poignant. But you don't give me a tragedy when I've signed up to watch a puppet dinosaur show.
Puppet dinosaurs. I remember I felt like a little bit of an attraction to like the teen boy dinosaur. Like I was like, this something's with him. I have a thing. I was into Rum Tum Tugger. It's like an animal thing, I guess. I don't know.
Rum Tum Tugger. Your sexual awakening.
Yeah. I really loved the teen boy dinosaur. Loved him. He had like high tops. Oh, I loved him so much.
Yeah, well, he died in a fucking
and spiky hair. Maybe I didn't know how it ended, or maybe I just blocked it out of my childhood. I think I might have just blocked it out. Thanks for bringing it back.
No worries.
I've never watched it and I never will.
Yeah, well, just Google the scene, like the end.
That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
It is. That's terrible.
Yeah, that you didn't sign up for that. That was not in the contract.
The contract was broken. They broke it. The end.
They take him to court.
The end. So I'm only going to talk about Game of Thrones because it relates only to what Leah said. And it's where you took this drama in a totally different direction and you changed the characters. I think that was my biggest problem is then I felt like you started having characters making choices that you didn't set them up to make this whole time. So I don't know how many seasons Game of Thrones was. Was it like 8 maybe? So say it's 8. It doesn't even matter. So say it's 8 seasons. So for 7 seasons, you're telling us that these characters are doing this. You're giving them an arc that makes sense, especially like Jaime Lannister. And then all of a sudden, the last season, you just throw it out the window. And you do it for almost every character. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense because you felt like you were watching something smart and you were taking characters somewhere, and then to just like throw them in an opposite direction was just so jarring to me. And I hated it so much. I'm still bitter about it. I tried for a while to justify. Let me tell you that. For the longest time, I tried to justify. And I'm still okay with Jon Snow's ending. So let me just say that. I'm okay with that. That's the only thing I'm okay with. And then I've touched a little bit on this before, but I'm going to mention it. Well, no, I'm going to mention this one later. So I don't really have a Korean example, I think, that I want to say now. I have a couple that I'm going to talk about later.
Yeah, I don't have a Korean one that I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about a quick Western one because I think Leah will appreciate it. So for me, one of the hallmarks of a good ending is character growth, right? And it doesn't fit for every single movie because some movies aren't focusing on that if they're not, really character driven. But for me, character growth is a big thing. And recently I rewatched a movie that when I was 20 years old, I fucking loved. And I rewatched it with my daughter because she wanted to, watch some quintessential 90s movies. And so we sat down and we watched Reality Bites. And you have heard me on this podcast before, probably like defend my love of Troy Dyer and Ethan Hawke in this movie. And Sydney and I watched this movie, and not only could I not stand his character because he's just like a couch surfer in the beginning, he's a couch surfer at the end, nothing changes. But even Winona Ryder's character, Leilana, no growth at all. Absolutely no growth. And I'm sorry if this is something that you love and I'm, like ruining a beloved movie for you. It just didn't work for me anymore. It worked for me when I was 20. And all these characters were supposed to be 22, like having just graduated college. It doesn't work for me now. And it didn't work for my 19-year-old daughter. So Winona Ryder's character loses her job. She's like a production assistant on this like Good Morning Grant, like a local morning show. And the host, Grant, like absolutely hates her, and she overhears him like talking about how they should fire her, blah, blah, whatever. So she writes some really bad stuff on his cue cards, and he says some really bad things on live TV, and it's really funny, and she gets fired. And instead of finding a job, she turns into like a loafing couch surfer and ends up, her dad gives her a gas card as a graduation present, and she ends up going to the gas station and using like her Amico card or whatever it is, her Shell card, and knocking on people's windows as they're going to pump gas and saying, hey, if you pay me cash, I'll pay with my card for your gas. Just so fucking illegal. Not to mention, like, this is how she starts like racking up money for rent and stuff like that. At the end of the movie, I think she maybe is getting a job again, but like really the whole movie, she does absolutely nothing like redeeming at all. And she has a cigarette in her mouth the entire movie. The entire movie, even when she's eating at a cafe.
Oh,
It's so, that's so 90s, but like, yeah, it was wild to me that this was a movie that I loved in 1994. And then watching it in 2025, I could not find one thing that I liked about it.
Oh,
And so
no.
my daughter liked it. Like, she's like,
Yeah.
I didn't hate it by any means, but she's like, I would pick Michael over Troy like any day. So it was funny.
Yeah.
And, I didn't feel like there was any character growth at the end. And so that was one of the big hallmarks for me, is I was like, you have to have changed from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm. So can a good ending save a bad drama?
Is there even such a thing?
I know. This one's a hard one, I think. Because I was trying to think, and I'm like, I don't really know.
So is there a drama that like you stuck with and you got to the end and you're like, all right, like I'll give an example.
Okay.
And it's not a bad drama. It's a boring drama for me, at least. And it's, again, My Life with Lee Joon-gi. And it was one of those that like I had on my Vicky watch list. And I'm like, why did I never watch this? And it was because it was very much like, and it came before Marry My Husband. And it's very much the same premise as Marry My Husband. Is Lee Joon-gi is a lawyer and he gets murdered in the very first episode. And for whatever reason, he gets saved and given a second chance. So he gets to come back and basically to catch the baddie, who, of course, is a politician, right? And the entire drama is like a huge, long game of like legal revenge. And it was so boring. I couldn't tell you anything that really happened. And in the end, like, yeah, does the bad guy get his comeuppance? Sure. I stuck with the drama, though, because of the actor. So I don't even know if it was the ending as much as I just wanted to see Lee Joon-gi win in the end. And he did. But, like, at what cost? At, 16 hours of my life. So, yeah. I don't stick with dramas anymore if they're not working for me like I used to. But I stuck with that one because this was a recent watch, like within the last year. Because I couldn't quit him. Like, I felt very guilty quitting him, but I should have, because it wasn't a memorable story for me. But at least I got to see him win in the end.
Okay, I have one. But it's not exactly the homework. I like spun it because
That's okay.
thinking of the example. But I have one where I feel like it's a drama that I feel like is elevated because of the ending. Because I was like, this is a drama that I feel like if they didn't do overly good ending, could have, to me, been very dissatisfying. And that's
Okay.
Goblin. Because I feel like if Goblin had just like bungled the ending, I think the rest of it was good, but I think it would have just been like a very unsafe, like just like fuck, like, And so
Right.
I think it was like, it could have just been like another paranormal that like kind of was compelling, but then something at the end gets you. So the last episode of Goblin, I think seals Goblin's fate in like the pantheon of being like and considered to be a really good drama. And I think that like it's just because it kind of like ends up feeling like more mythic to me, kind of just like more elevated. And
Yeah.
so I think just like the sense of it had to have end. I guess it's another example of an ending that you might not have wanted, but you needed. Like, because you felt like you went this whole distance and then you finally get there and all of a sudden they like pull the rug out and they could have left it there and that would have felt like the cheap move.
It would have been City of Angels.
Yeah. That would have, but I mean, it could have logically worked. You would have been like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Like but I feel as if where I think they made a good choice was making you have the hard ending, but then like finding a way to get you through where you had to grapple with the hard ending of the heroine dying after everything they came through and him dying, like everything that happened. And not being like, just kidding, she's not really dead. No, she's dead. Like fully dead. But then they found a good loophole to like make it work. And I feel like because they were able to find that like loophole to make it work, the whole thing kind of just like elevates then into this like very poignant, beautiful kind of like mythic love story between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I was going to say, I think, that you have an expectation, like, throughout the drama that something has to happen to her because she has cheated death like twice in her life, right? Like she has been on the Grim Reaper's register. She was supposed to die when she was 9. She was supposed to die when she was 19. And she has made it past those. And so you're always kind of a little bit waiting for her to die. But then you're like, well, it's not going to happen because they wouldn't do us dirty like that. And so I do love, it's tragic, but it's beautiful. And you get to have a little bit of happiness at the end. What's really funny though is, because of course I have to, do a little Googling while I'm, trying to figure out answers for the questions that I wrote, because I want to see what people are saying about endings of K-dramas. And I found a Reddit thread where somebody did not like the end of Goblin because they're like, what is the point of, making her reborn again and they meet again when she's in her school uniform again, when that was the whole part of the drama that was very uncomfortable, was her being in her school uniform.
I mean,
but what my defense for that is she got to die with her memories intact. So she wasn't just another 19-year-old girl. She had lived, she had lived two 19-year-old lifetimes already.
Mhm.
And had that in her. And not that I condone anything happening before she's legal, but she grew up knowing she was the Goblin's bride and remembered Kim Shin and was waiting to find him.
So I don't think this is a bad drama, but this is a drama that I don't remember much of. It just kind of is one of those dramas that I watched and now I don't remember, but I remember the ending, and that's Little Women. So I really don't remember much about the plot of Little Women, other like that they like put one girl in like a dollhouse type thing. I just don't remember a lot of it. Okay, it was kind of convoluted.
It was mahjong. Yeah,
it was mahjong, but the acid in the sprinkler system at the end,
hydrochloric acid,
whatever, amazing. Like
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It was wild and crazy. And to me, that is an ending that has stuck in my head when the drama itself, I barely remember. Truly. So like props to Little Women for the like absolute craziness.
I think the only thing I remember from that drama is the acid and the sprinklers and Wee Ha-joon.
Same. I mean, Kim Go-eun is in it, and I just barely remember.
I love her. I love her
too. That's what I'm saying. The drama itself, I'm sorry, it wasn't my favorite. It was a drama, but I'll never forget
it was wild.
The acid in the sprinklers.
Okay, so let's get to a fun one.
Yeah.
Can a bad ending ruin a good drama?
Okay, I gotta talk about two. So the first one, I've mentioned it before, so I'm not gonna harp on this one too much, but A Virtuous Business, I thought this was gonna be a top drama for me, and it was shaping up to be, I'm talking like top. It was so good. And then the ending hit, and it made no sense. It was like Game of Thrones. It was like, you set me up for all this shit, and now I don't even know what's going. Like, what even was that? I'm not. I don't, and I can't even describe to you the ending of Virtuous Business because that made that little sense. And I think most people were on board with me about that because it was terrible. And then I have to be honest, Itaewon Class. I disliked the ending of Itaewon Class kind of a lot, and I think that
Really?
soured Itaewon Class for me. My biggest issue with Itaewon Class is I didn't like the time jump. So I'm going to kind of spoil the end.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those. I get
I
that.
didn't like the time jump because to me, it felt like two different seasons. Tell me it's another season then. Because the whole character vibe of Itaewon Class that I loved was like the scrappy revenge underdog, okay, of Park Seoi. That was my favorite part about Itaewon Class. And then there's a time jump. And I understand this is probably like realistic. I get it. I do. Like, I'm not saying that like the ending doesn't make sense because it does. I just don't like it. The time jump to me took away the whole flavor of Itaewon Class and like who Park Seoi was. And I strongly disliked how the love triangle ended. Like, do you want me to get into like the Sungay? Like, I just
No,
I forgot that you hated that. See, I didn't hate it.
I didn't either.
hated it because he
I
like
didn't
I
hate it at
felt
all.
like she
Got your song, hey.
felt like Kim Da-mi's character like guilted him and just like wore him down. He's just like, okay, fine, I guess you love me. I guess Sarange back. Like, okay. Like, I just still am never over it. And I didn't and the thing is I loved it so much, but the ending was like it wasn't even just like a little ending. Like that second part where they like did the time jump was a big part of that's like where the climax was. And so I didn't like it. And I'm still kind of pissy about it because I love the drama so much. And so for the ending to like fumble for me just pissed me off. Sorry.
I didn't mind it, but I am going to come for a drama that you like later. So that's
Okay, that's fine.
and I'm not doing it out of like,
It's you can do it out of spite. I don't mind.
look, I feel like this is one that like I talked about recently, and I hate talking about things recently, but sometimes like, when something's in your brain and then you just can't get it out.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and not everybody listens to everything. So, not everyone pores over my every word.
Right.
I was going to use another example, but I want to use that next. So I am going to circle back and say that I'm going to talk again about Memories of the Alhambra. So I
Wow.
thought this was a really cool drama in so many ways. We've got Hyun Bin as a CEO, and he is basically like, it's an augmented reality game where there's like this blurriness of this game that like overlays into the real world, but then it starts to have like consequences. Like if you die like if you're killed in the game, like are you dead in real life? There's just a lot of like kind of things like that. So the very ending is intentionally ambiguous, but in a way that breaks the contract. Like you're not watching this drama to have an ambiguous ending. You're not watching this drama. Like it wasn't like an ethical dilemma at the end of what happens. Basically what happens is we have Hyun Bin's character still trapped in the game, and you don't know if he's either dead or somehow is like, and what I think they're leaning towards is that he's like transcended between like reality and the virtual world, but like he's like stuck. And so is he like stuck in he's stuck in some alternative reality with his final fate unresolved. So the end is like his backlit with like the virtual world that he's in kind of like going around him. And then it's like, well, what? Because like the whole drama builds up to this idea that there's this like big mystery and like what's happened to these people in the game. Like, what is it? Like, what does it all mean? And then at the end, it just ends like I feel like what happened is that like the writers were like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know what to do. So we're just gonna leave it arty and ambiguous. But I was
Yeah.
like, that wasn't the promise of what this was. Like you were alluding to a mystery the entire time, and I'm waiting for that mystery to be solved, not left with an ambiguity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quick talk about one that I have talked about before, and I'm not trying to yuck anybody else's yum because I know some people really like this drama, and I liked a lot of this drama until the end, and for me, that's Queen of Tears. So Queen of Tears had a lot going for it, and you know from the very beginning of Queen of Tears that there is either going to be the death of the heroine or some sort of, traumatic brain injury because she has what we think is an incurable cancer or something, an incurable brain spots all over the place that can be cured, we find out later, with a magical surgery in Germany. But the caveat of the surgery is that she will lose all of her memories. Okay. And look, this is good drama. Like, I was here for it. Like, in thinking of like the contract that I signed with this drama is first of all, the premise is, we've got a couple that are on the verge of divorce, and the husband finds out that she's dying, has 3 months to live, and is like, oh my God, I just have to wait it out. And then I'm out of this crazy family. So I have to pretend like I still love her, and I have to pretend like everything's okay. And in the pretending, they find their way back to who they used to be when they first started dating. And it's lovely. And it's a great, like, second chance romance. It's my favorite thing. And then when it comes time, when they find out that this, she can get the special surgery, tearfully begs her to have the surgery, that they will figure everything out, that he will remember everything for her, that, he will make her fall in love with him again, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And so they set you up for a very well done, I would say, amnesia plot, right? Instead, what happens is that the villain, who has wanted her for himself this whole time and who has been plotting to take down the family with his mother for like years and years and years, she even gave him up for a while so that she could infiltrate this family. He somehow, I don't remember all the details of it, but he gets Kim Soo-hyun, he gets him arrested for murder so that when she wakes up from her surgery, he's there instead of the husband.
The hell? Really? This is how it ends?
You even told you this?
I don't.
He's there instead of the husband and basically tells her that they are together.
Oh my God.
And, they're together, they're happy, and
Oh my God.
she has to believe him, right? In the beginning. So there's that. So the husband doesn't get to be there when she wakes up. And then after like the bad guy gets taken care of, which makes Leah sad, after he's gone and out of the picture, we have this chance for this like beautiful reconciliation, right? For like him to make her fall in love with him again. Instead, she keeps finding herself drawn to him, which is great, but it gets silly. Like, they make it farcical. They make her memory loss like farcical, like very over the top silly. They tell her that she's going to forget all of her memories, right? But then she randomly, like, because her personality changes, obviously, when she comes out of the surgery. But then she goes right back to her job and she remembers how to do her job. And she's like the CEO of like a department store.
Mm-hmm.
She goes right back to do her job. She talks about she's like, what was I like before this? Was I like Mother Teresa or something? So she remembers who Mother Teresa was, but she doesn't remember who her husband was. So like lots of like silly like little holes with the amnesia. And then just like really silly with her like sneaking around and hiding behind bushes to like spy on him. And I'm like, it turned it into a joke, and it made me really mad because I really liked 90% of this drama.
Yeah.
And the ending kind of lost it for me.
That's a little crazy to me.
Yeah, the whole like frame him for murder and pretend to be the lover. And yeah, I was like, no, we've had enough with the villains already. Like, this gets to be the romance reconciliation, and we didn't get to have that.
Right. Okay, so what's an example of a drama that should have ended sooner? I'm sorry, I'm going to go first because I'm just going to say My Dearest. My Dearest. My Dearest should have been done. Second season should have been done in half the time.
Fully agree.
Yeah, I mean,
this was my example too.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, but I was just like, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Like, I'm not even going to get into it, but there's 2 amnesia plots. It goes off the rails. It needed to just be done. But at the end, I'm just fast forwarding through this part where he's like wandering around, apparently amnesiaed. Like, I just can't. I can't. It didn't ruin it for me. It really didn't, because there's still so much good about My Dearest, but came close.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this one before too, but it's the only one that kind of comes to mind, and it's What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. I love this drama. It should have been 12 to 14 episodes.
Would have been perfect.
Yeah, because we just get a lot of fluff at the end after we had some really dark stuff. And I'm all for like fun and games and stuff like that, but I think we get like 2 episodes of like wedding planning,
Yeah.
and I don't need that.
What's an example of a drama that could have used one more episode to help it stick the landing?
This is another one that I talked about recently, but sorry. And that's Reply 1988. So,
Oh, yes.
and this
Agreed.
is like I would have redone it, but if we had to like add, like, yeah, I think that we don't get one of the main characters' story arcs at all. And honestly, I feel like it just rushes. Like, it's a pretty paced out. You're very invested in like everyone's journey. And then the end really does turn into like the sorrow of menopause, the dad not being recognized in his retirement, and then all the kids in the neighborhood stories just kind of like wrapping up super, super fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have liked to have spent like time just like intentionally going through like each person's kind of like, where are they? What are they doing? The parents. And really, because I feel like the very, very last image of it is like the street, like the alley and kind of like that tie off is good. But I wanted to spend more time just closing all those narrative loops off. So I think it would have benefited from another episode to do that.
The first one that comes to mind is A Shot for Killers. Now I know that we're getting
Right.
a second season. But when you watch it, you think, God, another episode would have wrapped this up. Like, truly, that's what I think as I'm watching it. A second season, I think there's enough plot for a second season, but that's kind of
There
what.
didn't need to be.
Yeah. And then I actually say for this one, I'm going to say there's a BL called 4 Minutes that I really like. It's Vegas from Ken Porsche. Bible is like his nickname as an actor. And I really like 4 Minutes. It kind of has this cool plot that he can see 4 minutes into the future. But when you get to the ending, basically is like, I don't think it's ambiguous. I really think they just didn't give enough time. Because it ends. Well, I'm not even going to get into the ending of it, because to be honest, I do think people should watch it. It's a good drama, so I'm not actually going to give away the ending for this one. But I just remember thinking, oh my God, why couldn't have they just given us like one more episode? Like, one more would have made me feel satisfied. And I think they're going to give us another season. Apparently, there's supposed to be one coming out called like 8 Minutes or something. But I think they actually could have wrapped it up if you just give us one more episode.
So I'm going to say A Time Called You, which is a time travel drama that I love, 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 loved. If you haven't watched it, please skip ahead, because I love this drama so much and I want everybody to watch it. But basically, I mean, it is time travel with a serial killer situation, but it's a very well done serial killer situation, I think. Do I want more serial killers? No, I don't. But I think it worked really well in this, because it wasn't like, look, I'll say I loved Lovely Runner. I didn't love the serial killer aspect of Lovely Runner, because it was a 2-dimensional serial killer. In A Time Called You, we have something very different. And so I appreciated it. But the only way to basically foil the serial killer, who also is aware of the whole time travel situation, is to destroy this cassette tape that has this song that is the way that the hero and heroine have been traveling in time. But if they destroy this tape, it will also destroy like their timelines, and they will never have met each other. And they do this willingly. Like, they know that everything's going to unravel. And the near to the end of the drama shows this so beautifully, where we see the heroine standing in her apartment in present day, and all of her photographs of him start, poofing out. like, like Marvel characters disappearing for 5 years or whatever. And her whole, like, she's watching it unravel and she's hysterically crying. And then all of a sudden, it ends and she doesn't know why she's crying.
It's so painful to watch.
Yes. And it's a romance and it's a beautiful romance. And so that there's going to be some semblance of a happily ever after. And there is in that, like, we see their lives like then kind of going parallel in all the places that they met before. And finally, at the very end, like literally the last minute of the movie, they finally come face to face with each other. And you realize, okay, they're going to meet again. And, it's a fated mates kind of thing. They're going to meet again. They're going to fall for each other again. But all you get to see is them look at each other and notice each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, my heart was so shredded after that, like, disappearing of their lives that I could have used one more episode.
Yeah. Like,
even if it was just them, like a meet cute.
Yeah. Assure me it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. But it was a great drama. So I could have taken, and it was a short drama too. So I could have taken one more. Okay. Is there any endings that initially didn't work for you, but now maybe with 4 years of drama under your belt, you see it differently?
So I have one, but I thought you might talk about it, so I picked another one.
You thought I might talk about it?
Yeah. So which one were you going to talk about?
The only one I ever do, which is the King Eternal Monarch.
Okay. So yeah, I called that. So I had that down, but I'm going to skip it and go to my other one.
Okay.
So the other one I'm going to say that I wouldn't say that it didn't work for me. I just don't think I like appreciated it. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, it's over. Because I think I was like emotionally wrung out. And that is Fated to Love You. Neither of you have seen this drama.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, it's got a really kind of like fun setup, problematic of like two people not realizing that they're having sex with each other. They each think they're someone else because they're both under the influence. She gets pregnant. Oops. It's like the wallflower from The Office, like gets together and gets impregnated by like the Chabel's son or whatever, like that's the premise. So they get married. They have nothing in common. They fall in love. Well, they start to fall in like, I would say. Then they start to have more feelings. Then tragedy strikes. The middle is a lot of tragedy and honestly very affecting tragedy. Like I was like very wrung out by what happens and like very invested. And I think in the end, I was like, I like it, but I'm also kind of like done. Like I need a break. Like I'm kind of done with this drama. But when I think back on it, like more and more, I think that like it was paced very well to me, and that I don't think that the reconciliation is played out like an afterthought. I think that like it really does kind of like give itself a little bit of time to breathe. I think I was just so done that I was like, okay, wrap it up and turn it up. But I think actually what they were doing was let it breathe. And I feel like there was a really good sense that like the characters in the drama all had an arc, which I think I also appreciate when I think back to it. So like all the main characters have a really good arc that at the end, and that's like the goal of having a good story, is everyone's in a different place, better and stronger than they were at the beginning because it's a romance and we want that HEA. And the main character really has, like the lead, Mi Young, has a very profound character arc where at the beginning she's known as like Post-it, like the timid office worker. So at the end, she's become this kind of like confident artist, like living her truth and really being kind of like, she's like centered in her own power. And I think that that's really cool. And so I think that when I first watched it, I was like, I like it, but I am wrung out by it. And I'm just kind of ready to be done and move on to something else. But as I've thought about it over time, I'm like, no, I think it was paced well. And the third act really held. And I think that I didn't give it enough credit at the time.
So I'm going to spoil Weak Hero Class 1 and 2 right now because this is sort of an answer to your question. This is more, I didn't like the ending of Weak Hero Class 1, the first season. But now that I saw the second season, I was like, oh, now I kind of get it. So it's like sort of your question, but my own take. So, Weak Hero Class, if you've seen it, it's about Shion. He's this like quiet student, just wants to be left alone. He doesn't really have anyone in his corner. He doesn't really know what that's like. He doesn't know what it's really like to have friends. But then a kind of popular guy named Suho in class befriends him. And Suho is just like everything like you kind of want to be. He's like super charming. He's a great fighter. He like used to do like MMA. So He's like really hardworking, just like lives in the moment, just like super lives in the moment. And watching their friendship is one of the best parts about Weak Hero Class. Weak Hero Class is a study, I would say, on like friendships, and especially at like a tender age of like the teenage years, what can like turn a friendship into something really sour and toxic, because there's like a third friend who ends up kind of turning on Xian and Suho. And in the last episode, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, because like I can't believe this actually happens in a drama. But Suho is basically beaten into a coma. So he wants to get back at another just teenage boy who hurt Xian. He is like, sure, I'll fight you, but obviously the odds are not fair. There's other people there, and they do things to affect the fight. And Suho is just, you think he's dead, first of all. Like, that's what I was like, did they just kill him? Did I just literally watch like him get beaten to death? Like, did they really do this to me? But he's in a coma, and that's like literally the end of season 1. Like, Xian's angry, he moves to a different school, and that's it. That's like the end of season 1. And
So
I'm like,
that's why Choi Hun-wook isn't really in season 2.
yeah, that's why he isn't in season 2, because he's in a coma the whole time. So that's the thing. So season 2, Xian moves to a new school. And look, the same shit happens, because this is Weak Hero Class world. Same shit happens. There's bullies. There's a new cast of characters. But as much as I absolutely hated what happened to Suho, I get the character development now for Xian, and how much Suho affected Xian going forward into season 2. Because there are so many things and so many decisions that Xian makes based on his friendship with Suho, based on things that Suho has told him. There's like one point where he gets in a fight and he's like lying, kind of like beaten up, and he kind of whispers to himself, Suho, like, Miyane, like, I got in another fight, Miyane. Like, apologizing to his like coma friend. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but you're also like, oh my God, this friendship meant so much to him. And now I'm seeing how it's affecting him in season 2. And so it like started to make sense now, even though it sucks so bad. And at the end of Weak Hero Class 2, Xian gets the call, come to the hospital. And he runs the hospital. And Xian hasn't smiled, by the way, the entire second season. And he runs onto like the grass of the hospital in the front yard, or front, whatever. And there's Suho, Choi Hanuk, in a wheelchair, wearing Xian's gray hoodie from season 1. And he just turns and look at him, and he's like, are those your friends? Or who are those guys? And Xian's like, they're my friends. And Suho's like, good for you. Because that's all, like, Suho only ever wanted Xian to like make friends, like get out of his shell, like belong. Oh my God. So like, and again, so this was definitely like, it was a journey for me to accept the ending, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to you about it, and I was like, I didn't know Choi Hun-wook is in it, and you're like, well, he's not really in season 2 very much.
He's not in season 2, okay? But this is the thing, though, that's is like the ghost of Suho.
Right, the presence of him is there.
The presence of Suho is constantly there, which is very cool, and it's the testament to like how much. I mean, yes, Suho was also like written really well, like a great character, but like Choi Han-wook played him so well that like his presence was felt when he wasn't even on the screen.
Yeah. So like, look, I'm not gonna be, well, like Leah said earlier, maybe you don't listen to every single thing we say, and I've talked about the end of the King Eternal Monarch, more than once before, but I've changed my tune on it, and I've credited Leah with helping change my tune. And I don't want to spoil anything that Leah's written, but just go read all of Leah's books, especially her most recent ones, and you'll understand. But so here's the thing. So I've also talked about episode 11 coloring my reaction to the ending of this drama. So if you haven't seen The King Eternal Monarch, it's parallel universes. And we've got Taeol, played by Kim Go-eun, who is a police detective in like our version of Korea. And then we've got Egon, who is Lee Min-ho, who is the king of Korea with a C. in a parallel universe. And they obviously meet, they cross over into each other's worlds. Lots of doppelganger shit happens. It's a wildly cool and fun drama. And the end of episode 11 is Tail has been drugged, she's been beaten, she's escaped her captors, and she's like literally about to collapse in the middle of the street. And Egon finds out, and he gets his whole cavalry, and he is racing through the streets on a white horse, Maximus, with his sword saying, "Protect her at all costs. She's the future queen of Korea." And like the best episode ever in a K-drama. The drama does not end with her being the queen of Korea, though. The drama ends with the two of them meeting up for jaunty little weekends in parallel universes together. And it's cute and it's fun, and I hated it when I first watched it. And the reason why I hated it is because I was in my Lee Min-ho era, and this is not to say that I don't still love him. I absolutely do, but I was like deep in it. Like this was the first drama that I saw of him, and I was like, who is this most beautiful man in the world, most charming man in the world? I want everything for him. And so, of course, inserting myself as the heroine, I'm like, I would have fucking left everything and been your queen. But she doesn't do that. And now, 4 years later, I appreciate that and I applaud that in the writing, that she did not sacrifice her entire existence to reward his. And I think that, you know, part of me, like when I talked about it in the beginning, when we first like talked about this drama, I was like, you know, maybe the writers just got too jumbled with the parallel universes and they kind of just like let that fall. But now I do think it's intentional, and I think it's very well done, intentional, because nobody is sacrificing anything. And it's kind of like the end of Crash Landing on You, where it's not a perfect happily ever after, but it's the one that makes sense for the worlds that they live in. They do not live in the same world. They live in literally completely different worlds, completely different parallel universes. And for her to be the queen of Korea, she would have had to leave her father and leave her job and leave everything that made her her to just sit on a throne and be his queen. And for him to leave his world, he would have left a kingdom that he just basically saved from his evil uncle. You know, he would have left a kingdom that he was really good at ruling and would have left everybody that he knew and that he loved. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect ending now.
Looking back, at the time I thought, what's wrong with Secretary Kim? Even though it should have ended early, the ending was pretty good. And at the time I watched it, I'm sorry. And at the time I watched King the Eternal Monarch, I was really mad about the ending.
Yeah.
Looking back now, today, I'm like, what's wrong with Secretary Kim was so fucked up, because why did she keep being his secretary? That's not what she wanted.
The worst.
That was not the right choice for, like.
Yeah, I forgot to even mention that.
Yeah, and I remember thinking
no growth, like no
growth. And I remember thinking, oh, they get to still be together. But now looking back, I'm like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. And so, and then I look at then King the Eternal Monarch with eyes that's like, this is the correct thing for her. She had a job that she cared about. She was a police officer. She believed in what she did. She had partners, she had friends, she had a dad, like she had a life. And was she just going to leave that to go be some queen that she never wanted to be? So she still gets to be with the love of her life now, but she can like live her life. So it was like those two endings, I totally did a 180.
Yeah.
Like now looking back.
I want to rewatch The King Eternal Monarch now with my new eyes, because I think I'll love it even more.
Well, I kind of said this, but on the flip side, is there a drama that if you rewatched it today, you'd like the ending less? And I'm going to say it's What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, and it's not for how it should have ended sooner. It's because why did she stay?
Yes, I totally forgot about that part. Like,
Me too.
It's all about like the whole drama is about she's going to quit being his secretary because she wants to find something for herself. And at the end, she's like, I've decided I'm just going to be your secretary.
Yeah. That's that drives me
I'll be with you on that one.
This is the one I feel like is the controversial to Megan, not to me. I've shared this before, but as I was thinking about it, I was thinking like, what is a drama where I just have felt and not a drama that like I have least favorite, because I'm going to again get into that, but more, what is a drama that I just feel like I've just not made peace with this? And what I have not made peace with is Stardust. I'm sorry. I know that you
Oh,
wrote a
that's
love.
not what I thought you were going to say. Okay, I'm okay with this.
This
I
is
know
not a
you wrote
surprise. This
I
is
know
not a
you wrote a
surprise.
love letter to Namso. Wait, what?
Namdo-san.
Namdo-san.
I'll never forget Namdo-san. But yeah.
Yeah, love it for you. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not coming for you to say you're
No, this is totally. I thought you were going to say something different, and I was going to wince. So actually, I'm happy that this is.
What was it?
I thought you were going to say Mr. Plankton.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Okay, so
And then I would have been like upset, but
no, I think Mr. Plankton actually did. I think it gave us what it needed,
What
not
it-
what
yeah,
we wanted.
it gave us.
If it gave me what I wanted, I would have had like a whole side BL plan. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it went, but it did what it needed to do.
Oh my gosh, I
didn't
want that. I
necessarily
want that BL plot.
Me too.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be in like that kind of a space with it, but I do think it did what it
Okay.
needed to do.
I'm here first. I actually am here for startup.
So my thing with startup, I think as I sit with it longer and longer, is just that like I like the way they set this up. I mean, you're giving me like I want to on one hand say bravo for surprising.
Mhm.
Because if you but I like what I like for reasons. And when you give me like the self-sacrificing, like the love letters over time, like being like with Granny helping out, loving from afar, like being attentive from afar, like all of those things, like they're so romantic. They're
And the
so
Cyrano trope, like Cyrano's supposed to win.
yes. And then in the end, we're like, no, we're gonna flip it. And we're gonna give like the guy who honestly was written to be his second male lead. We're gonna
He
give
was.
him his moment. And I truly feel like there was like more chemistry and emotional connection between the female lead and the second male lead, Good Boy. And I feel like the push to I'm just trying to think of like what it was that made that, because there's part of me that thinks like when you write these dramas, you're writing them in a room. And there's a part of me that feels like this was like a committee decision, not like an internal thrusted decision. And I understand that like he reminds you a lot of Neil, so there's like an emotional connection. So I'm not trying to invalidate that. But
No,
when I think
totally
of like
makes
the
sense.
emotional heart of this drama, I truly do think that it's Good Boy. And I understand, is he damaged? Yes. Does he need to come a long way for healing? Yes. But that is what romance is. Romance is a person coming through. And so at the end, do I think he was like poised to have love and find it? Sure. But I do think that to me and my taste, if I can think about it, is I would have still flipped it. And it would have been still compelling because you would have had a very worthy second male lead. And I think you could have had a really, like my favorite love triangles where it's like, I don't know who to choose. But I think at the end of the day, it was always a mistake. I think it's a mistake that they wrote it. I think they wrote it to not be Good Boy by the end, but I think it should have been written to be Good Boy. And the longer I've sat with it over time, the more I think it was a mistake that they did not.
Honestly, I think if I watched it again, I would feel the same way. So I really love Namdo-san, and I think it was written the way it was written now, he is the choice. I think you're correct in saying it shouldn't have been written that way. I actually do think I side with you on that. I do. I don't disagree hard at all.
They give us like a bait and switch because they introduce us to Good Boy first,
So
which is
that's the
so wild.
I have to be honest, if I was watching, and I think I said this, that if I had been watching that live, I would have been furious. And so I get the people who are watching it live and think, okay, like we all know the signs. Like we are like Good Boy was male lead coded. So I totally get why that was like what people were thinking and where it was going. So I can't imagine seeing the drama start to go a different way and you're like, what the fuck? Because you gave us almost a whole episode for us to fall in love with Good Boy and then you switch it. Like that's rough. That's really rough. And so I actually totally agree.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So-
I'm not going to disagree.
We're going to favorite K-drama ending.
Yeah.
So I think I just talked about this one too. Everything I'm talking about, I've just talked about. But look, I just talked about this one the other day. It's new for me, but I'm sorry, it was perfect. And that is Let Free the Curse of Taekwondo. That was a perfect ending.
My God, you're right.
It was a perfect ending.
It was.
I'm gonna watch it.
And after the trauma dumping that we watched through, very well written. It needed to have, and because it's a short drama series, like Fated to Love You Again, I also felt like high trauma. And then by the end, I was like, okay, like I don't want to have multiple episodes wrapping it up. And then later I was like, no, I needed that. That was good. I think I was just like, let me out. I'm tapping out. Just let me get away. with Let Free the Curse of Taekwondo, pretty much like 35-minute episodes, and 8 of them, if they had just given me like saranghae at the end and like a smooch, I would have felt like, okay, it was good. I mean, it's very good, but like I feel a little bit cheated. But the fact that we end on like domestic bickering and real life, just living life, it felt genuine and it felt deserved. And I felt like I needed to spend time just like watching people bitch over their bathroom cleaning.
Yeah. So the thing with Let Free the Curse, for such a short drama, so 8 episodes, 30 minutes each, the whole last episode was basically at HEA. There was like some wrapping up of like external plot. But it was like just perfect because it was like half an hour. It wasn't like too much where you're like, okay, it was this perfect ending to that constant angst that you had been experiencing for the first like 7 episodes. So I completely agree. Like it really was a perfect ending. I would say that's probably my top, but next to it, and I don't care if I'm going to talk about this again, it says favorite K-drama ending on the script is I'm Not a Robot. And let me tell you the end. Let me just tell you the ending scene is what was so perfect. Because again, you have a man who they bookend this drama perfectly. It starts with him not being able to join military service because he has a touch allergy. And it ends with him coming home to the love of his life, having served his military enlistment service. And it's like so perfectly bookended. He's happy to do it. He always wanted to do it. He wanted to like serve his country. He just couldn't do it. So, and then you get all the beautiful romance, but the character growth and the journey and the cool aspect of seeing him like fulfill this like goal that you were given in the first scene was just so cool. And it's got to be my favorite.
It's a good one. I don't know if this is going to surprise you, the one that I'm going to say for favorite K-drama ending. Any predictions?
Alchemy of Souls?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
I want a whole other season of Alchemy of Souls called Relic Hunters. I've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I don't want Alchemy of Souls to be done yet.
Yeah.
Flower of Evil.
I actually wrote this one down and I didn't mention
perfect.
it. It's really good.
Favorite ending. Okay, so
and that was a little controversial too. It was.
So I'm going to talk about the ending of Flower of Evil. And Flower of Evil is a drama that you need to watch if you have not watched. So please skip ahead a couple minutes. I won't be that long, but I have to talk about this ending. Because the whole premise of this drama, it's a psychological thriller. And we've got Lee Joon-gi as Baek Hee-sung, who he thinks that he's a psychopath. And he is playing the role of doting husband and father. He is married. He has a daughter. Is he like a metalsmith? Is that what he does? I'm trying to remember. Some sort
he
of
makes
like
jewelry.
Artist. He makes jewelry. Yeah, okay. So he's a jewelry maker. He's a jewelry studio. And then he has a scary basement where he takes people and does some things. But the whole drama is like, it's a murder mystery, and it's like there's current stuff happening and there's long ago murders that are trying to be, solved and stuff like that. And you find out piece by piece the past and the present sort of coming together, and you wonder the whole entire drama, is he a psychopath? And that's his biggest fear through the whole entire drama, is that he is his father, because his father was a psychopathic murderer, and his father tried to groom him to be the same as him. And it didn't quite take. And that's a whole big other part of the drama. But basically, the end of the drama is basically him going after the real psychopath, the man who basically whose life he sort of stole. It's a whole big to do. But Baek Hee-sung is, going after the real bad guy and trying to protect his family, and is being the good guy, even though he doesn't think that he truly is a good guy. And it's all this idea of like nature and nurture too, right? Like he doesn't know, like, is he the man that his father was because he's his father's son? Or does he have all these thoughts and tendencies to like basically like not feel emotion because it was sort of beaten out of him when he was growing up? He's not sure. He doesn't know. He thinks he's a psychopath. And the very end, he gets shot in the head. Well, not the very
Was that?
end.
I couldn't remember. I was like, how does he get the head injury?
Not the very end. He gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
Right when he's taking the bad guy down, he gets shot in the head. And guess what, folks? We have amnesia.
Amnesia!
But this is the best use of amnesia I've ever seen in a drama ever in my life, because he never thought he could feel love. He thought that everything that he did for his wife and his daughter was basically scripted. He thought he was acting a part. And what happens is he has amnesia. His wife sort of stays away. Like she wants to be part of his healing, but he doesn't know who she is. And basically he finds his way back to the studio, isn't it? Like the jewelry shop or something like that. And he doesn't know why he's showing up there. And it's this really emotional ending when he comes face to face with his wife again and remembers that he loves her.
He remembers he has a heart, he
remembers
this heart connection. And it's like the amnesia was able to
prove that he wasn't a psychopath.
Right, because it took away the programming he'd been put through as a kid. It was
he was basically Winter Soldier. His dad turned him into Winter Soldier.
It was truly the best use of amnesia. Because it was he could start over, and he could also understand that he could love. He was capable of loving.
Because he didn't forget everything, right? So he didn't forget his entire life. It wasn't like Queen of Tears. Right. But he did forget his family. Mm-hmm. But then he was drawn to her, and it's a very emotional reconnection. And it's this realization that he wasn't playing at love, that he really did love his family. And it was beautiful and so unexpected. The whole drama was so unexpected for me. And I think even using one of the biggest overused K-drama tropes, I thought it was a perfect ending.
Me too.
All right, least favorite ending?
Yeah, actually, okay, so I'm not going to say when the phone rings.
I'm leaving that one out of it.
Because you know what? It gave us Argan. It's not my least favorite. I will.
Argan is hilarious.
In a way, I'm grateful to when the phone rings. So I wouldn't say it's my least favorite because what if we didn't have Argan? What if we didn't? What would we talk about? My least favorite is Chicken Nugget of all time. This is the stupidest ending. Let me explain, because you guys didn't watch Chicken Nugget. I told you not to. And this is the only drama. This might be the only drama where I will actually say, don't waste your time. It's literally.
Some people did like it, though. Some people did like it. So we didn't want to yuck yums.
Okay. I'm just saying if you have not been drawn to it yet, don't bother. There. How about we say that? Okay. If you really liked it, good for you. I think it was a terrible ending. My opinion, my time. So Chicken Nugget is where a woman is turned into a chicken nugget. It's not a sentient chicken nugget. It's just a chicken nugget. And her dad and the man who is in love with her have to try to fix her. And you go on this wild ride where they're trying to figure out how she got. Because she got turned into a chicken nugget with this weird machine that's in their business. And they're trying to track down whose machine this is to figure out how to turn her back. And they finally figure out it's these weird purple aliens so if you're in the box, the last thing you see is what you get turned into. So the last thing she saw when she was in the box was a chicken nugget. So at the very end, these purple aliens are okay, we can turn her back, but the only thing we can do, it's very weird because the man who is in love with her, he ends up being this famous singer. She's still a chicken nugget. And he's because the purple aliens are oh, we have to fix our machine, but we're 80 light years away. So it's gonna take a really long time. And he's no problem. I will eat really well and I'll live to be 150. It'll be fine. I'll totally live to be 150 and I'll wait for her because I love her. And they're okay, great. So he goes on to be this super famous guy. He's a singer. He's rich. He's living forever. Oh no, it's the dad is living forever. I'm sorry. That's the dad. I'm sorry. But so anyway, the guy who's in love with her, famous singer, and then the aliens come back and they're sorry, it's going to take longer. And he's but what am I going to do? Her dad can't live that much longer. He wants to see his daughter. And they're okay, well, we can just erase this whole time and you can go back to when, like, before she turned into a chicken nugget, but like you'll lose all your memories and you'll lose all this time. Like now that you're rich and famous now, but you're not going to be. And he's like, I love her. It's okay. I don't want her to be a chicken nugget any longer. That's fine. Take us back in time. So boom, the purple aliens. I can't believe this. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. Can you? Can you believe any of these
No.
words are coming out of my mouth? So they go back in time, and you see because she was the one who had delivered the chicken nuggets originally to the place. So you go back in time, blah, 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 and it's the same scene. She's strolling down the street, holding the bag of chicken nuggets. They pan inside the business, and the machine is there.
So it's just going to happen again.
So it's just going to happen again. And you're like, what the fuck? What did I just watch? What was the point of this? This makes no sense. It's awful. I don't understand. I do not understand a point to Chicken Nugget. So there you go. I mean, if you really like the purple aliens, whatever. That's my least favorite ending of all time. I feel justified. After having to say all that out loud, I feel justified.
Megan or Amy?
Can you beat Chicken?
No, I don't. I mean, it's not that good.
Kidding.
I was just gonna go with Silent Sea.
Oh shit! You're right. Oh God! How can you forget?
I don't even know what to say about Silent Sea because it's been a couple years already since we've watched it, and I don't really know what happened. It was a really cool premise that like the Earth is running out of water, and they find this moon that has lunar water. But the problem that lunar water is if you drink it, it drowns you from the inside out. It's a very cool premise. The drama did not deliver on the cool premise. But the part about the ending, look, I came to this drama for Gong Yu. It was my first Gong Yu the first Gong Yu drama after Goblin. And Gong Yu has a badass neck tattoo that we never get to find out why he has it. Never, ever.
Tell us, makeup department.
Tell us, what was the tattoo for? And then Gong Yu's character dies twice. And the first time, you think he's gone and then he comes back. And then when he dies again, it's not just that he dies. Like, fine, his character dies. But it is the drama trying to be artful in his death because he's in his spacesuit. And the way that we know that he is dead is the light in his helmet blink, blink, blinks out.
I hate it.
And I hate it so much.
Isn't there one single tear in the helmet too? Wasn't there like a single tear?
I think
single tear and the light blinks out?
Like that drama did Gong Yu dirty.
Yeah, that was so bad.
So that's mine.
So mine is When the Stars Gossip. And I feel like this whole drama had just kind of like this like very strong like pro-life element to it. And so if that's something that like aligns with you, okay, it doesn't for me. So earlier in the drama we see like very like there's like a lot of like they're trying to like conceive. I'm trying to just tell this as shortly as possible. But basically what happens earlier in the drama and what sold me in the drama originally is that there's this idea that there's like crooked sperm that exists because this guy dies and they want like his wife wants to like use his juice and like get pregnant and like the sperm have issues. So they're like, we could take it to space and do it. But that's like, it's got to be done secretly. And so this like billionaire family like sends Lee Min-ho's character into space to secretly fertilize these eggs because like without gravity, I guess the crooked sperm can like fertilize the eggs. So that all happens. And at one point, the leader of the spaceship, whose name is Eve, she is like, like we're not fertilized, like you can't fertilize babies up here. This is unethical. And there's like all these little single cell fertilized, like, I mean, literally he's just fertilized them. And she like throws them in the trash compactor. And he's like spitting. He's so angry. Like, that's a life. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, what is happening? Like, that is a cell that just got fertilized. Like, that is not Billy the child down the street. So I started to be like, this is really like becoming like, so it was called the Marula. And so they keep talking about this like Marula and the dead Marulas and like, anyway. So And at one point he's even like, you killed me too, or something. Like it was crazy. So, and he's like so disappointed and he's so upset and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, long story short, that all happens and they still decide to like bone each other when like there's like a asteroid attack and the power gets knocked out. Dumb things happen. Anyway, they are stuck on a space station alone. There's no heat, so they crawl into like a bag together and take off their clothes for warmth. A fabulous trope wasted on this. And they somehow like he decides to like feed her his like frozen Arctic cock and impregnate her as like, everything's the end of it all. So of course, they like bone, and what happens when you bone in space when you think you're dying and you're not pausing to look for a condom? Well, you're gonna have a baby. So anyway, so then they're like, okay, we don't think that there's like this chance that like I'm trying to think of like how to even explain this next part. So basically like Eve finds out, she goes back up to space, finds out she's pregnant, and she decides that she's going to have this baby in space. And everyone's like, if you have this baby in space, it could kill you. And she's like, no, I'm not going to have this baby anywhere but space, because if not, like shit could crazily happen and like this like little fetus may not survive the reentry. So I'm going to like like the fetus may not make it back. So I am going to have the baby up here, even though there's like apparently all these health risks to her if she like has the baby in space. So essentially, again, she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna like, I choose baby, not me. So we have like more pro-lifing happening of like, at any cost, I am like staying here. She's got, apparently guilt over killing the Marulas, which, okay. And then she also has abandonment issues, which is like more okay, but she's very attached. She's like, I will not have this baby. And she's not going to risk miscarriage whatsoever. And so at no point though are they like, well, what happens like when you have this baby? Like, is the baby just going to live in space forever? Like, what's the plan then? But like, we don't get into that. We're just like, nope, going to have this baby no matter what happens. So she goes into labor. Everybody's had time to like, she's been pregnant for a long time. So she's been in space a really long time though. And what happens when you're in space for a really long time? Your bones get weak. So her pelvis fucking like shatters while she gives birth. And like this is going to cause like internal bleeding and death.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So she like fully dies because she chose to have this baby in space. So no HEA. Mama chose baby.
Seriously?
Yes, and the baby's been living on the space. Then they flash forward, and the baby's just been living in space. Baby's just living in space.
By itself?
No, like with daddy.
Oh, with
Like,
daddy.
he like is raising the baby just like on the space station because nobody, I guess, like knows how to like get the baby back down. So he is like, dad's been in space for like a year and a half, having health impacts because like you're not meant to just be in space forever. Baby's like chilling in space because that's just like what happens, I guess. And he then goes and does a spacewalk where he scatters her ashes among the stars. And then he has this whole thing talking about like the spaceship, and there's some shit about like her womb becomes like a tomb or some bullshit. And I think it's supposed to be something with him like on his spacewalk being like umbilical corded to the ship. And like the end.
I'm so glad I didn't watch this.
Her dying is what like steals it for me. I'm like,
seriously.
no. I did know about that because you told me, and as soon as you told me, I'm like, oh no.
And so yeah, this baby's just like chill, and everyone's like, it's so funny. The baby's just in space. Like, it's like, no, this is like a horror show. Like, to me, it's a horror. Like, I will stay up here with this baby, and then like my bones will break and I'll die. And then like I don't know how baby's supposed to get back because it's a baby, so that's just gonna be up here too. And then I don't know, like, does dad just have to go back to Earth every once in a while so his bones don't fall apart? I don't know. I mean, they could have explained it more. I was so checked out I was like, what? I am so mad and over it. I was there because there was like funny promise of like crooked sperm and like goofiness.
Right.
And then I was like, oh no, we're having like dead women and right to life shit. And like she's a heroine for like choosing to go out. I was
Nope.
like, no.
Nope. That one wins.
Nope out of that one.
Nope.
It's a bunch of bullshit is what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm laughing because we've talked for almost 2 hours again.
Oh shit, yeah.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
I just found that there is a stopwatch app on Zoom.
Oh, thanks, Amy. I'm just
I
kidding.
just found it. Just now I'm Googling. I'm like, is there, because I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, we got on at 7:40.
Yeah, it's been a while. This was a good topic, though.
This was
There's
a
a
good
lot
topic.
I actually thought this was going to be quick. We're so terrible at this.
We
No, I've got to
can't.
head out to a birthday party.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, and I got to
Well-
go finish watching Dear Hung Rung. So,
Well, this was fun though. So I'm glad we
was
got
fun.
to talk about it. Yeah. So thank you, Izzy, for giving us this topic because it was a banger. So
yeah, it was a banger.
appreciate it.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so let us know about your favorite endings, your least favorite endings. We want to hear it all.
Mhm.
And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Annyeong.
Annyeong.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!